Alright. Go back here. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I don't know if my charger will hold up. Hold on, I will be right back. Let me grab this charger. All right, I think we are good. So, hello, welcome in, welcome in. We're going to be talking about the various different courses that I offer and that I teach with my school. All right, perfect. All right, I think we're charging. All right, we're good to go. Welcome in, everyone. Hello, Daphne. Good to see you. This will be a really good overview for you as we kind of go into all of our course catalog, what classes I have to offer you, and how you get enrolled and all that fun stuff. So hang in there. Thank you so much for liking and sharing and commenting and engaging. So I finished my physical practice in 2023, in July of 2023. I had just kind of really gotten to a point where I was ready. If you're new to my channel, my name is Dr. Erica Steele. I'm a board certified naturopathic doctor. I hold 7 degrees in my field. They're all in the natural healthcare space. I like to say that I went to school so you don't have to. And I not only did I go to a lot of education, but I treated a lot of patients in general family practice. And so I really knew that hey Melanin, that this practice of holistic healthcare, I built a fully functioning family practice with just holistic medicine. So no pharmaceuticals. I have a very deep, deep belief. Hey, Fit Mom. Very deep-seated, belief in first do no harm and really respecting that oath. And for me, it was not making those recommendations to pharmaceuticals, especially with me knowing, thank you so much, me knowing the history of allopathic medicine and all of the various different nuances of Rockefeller and whatnot. I felt like I could not be complicit. So I wanted to really build a career that was legitimized and that was, very, high value, top tier, whatever you want to call it, because unfortunately I knew kind of what we were up against, right? So since leaving practice, I went back for my MBA and I really studied another aspect of the healthcare system and really understood that, public health and public health education and access to quality public health education would definitely be something that would be very well needed in the future, especially within Black and Afro-Indigenous communities. And so that's really when the idea of building a school kind of came. The International Institute of Integrative and Holistic Health Sciences. I know it's a big old long thing, but it's because of really what it encompasses and what my vision is and where we want to go to be able to decolonize healthcare. From my understanding and from my study, there really is no hope, if you will, for the conventional, allopathic model. I think that, we can use it for its strengths, but it surely is not a long-term solution. And especially it's moving to a more privatized system with our RFK at the helm and all of his gang of grifters. So, the access to quality healthcare and access to affordable quality healthcare is going to unfortunately be a commodity. So I've tried to really create systems and processes, not just theories, but actual processes that people could follow, people could learn, because ultimately we're going to need just, an army of holistic providers that are actually trained properly and scientifically. So that really is part of, my mission and part of my goal in creating this. Hold on one second. All right, cool. Here's our table of contents. So I'm working on a course catalog for you right now. It should be done by the end of the weekend, and then you'll be able to get it emailed to you if you're on my list. If you are interested in, any of the, holistic health course offerings, the first link the link in my bio, and you scroll down, and it's actually the first. It says course pre-registration. If you wanted to go into Intro to Holistic Medicine, it's still up there. It's underneath, and that's a self-guided course. I still have to go through and just refine it a little bit more, but it's pretty much good to go, where anybody can just drop in whenever, and it's self-guided at this point. I know all of the videos and everything have been uploaded, so we're good to go with that. All right, so in my course catalog, I kind of split things up. So there's an introduction in terms of my vision, philosophy, and I kind of went into it already, and I'll infuse some stuff in. And then we look at kind of our foundationals. So there are foundations that we need scientifically, but also to just through modalities. So when I say modalities, that means like herbal medicine is a modality, or homeopathy is a modality, or a tool that you're going to use. Meditation is a modality, a tool that you're going to use. So we kind of break it up in terms of science and then tools. And that kind of makes it a little bit easier. There's also clinical aspect of, meaning a clinical development, professional development, those kinds of practices as well. And even in the practice of being in the business of holistic health, because that's a whole nother, component, especially too with, the current climate and what we have going on in public health. In the workbook that you will be emailed, there is a personal roadmap, like a little checklist that I'll provide you. And so you'll be able to kind of figure out exactly where you are, because I have 12-week courses and I have 4-week courses. Obviously the 12-week courses are more involved. And I also do record those live. So starting March 26th, that week, we will kind of get started on our Intro to Holistic Medicine 2, which is our detoxification class. We just finished Intro to Holistic Medicine 1, which went all into our nutrient deficiencies. So we're kind of winding down our break from that, and then we'll transition into Intro to Holistic Medicine 2. So, but you may not necessarily want to do, a whole 12-week class. Oh, no, sorry, it's May. I don't know if I said March. So it could have been me easily. So I'll solidify it as well. So it should be next week, I think May. And so I'll find it on the calendar exactly. It's not right in front of me, but I know the 26th. So I believe the 26th of this month. So you may not necessarily want to do a 12-week course because it's a bigger commitment. So we have 4-week courses. I love 4-week courses because they're like in, out, boom, boom, boom. So we'll kind of talk about that format and what that looks like. So one of my really, really, really like diehard things is making sure that people understand their therapeutic order and how to apply it to their healing practice. Because if there's no therapeutic order, there's going to be no control when you're working with your patient or client, and it's going to be all over the place, and you're going to get confused, and you're not going to know if you're helping your patient or not, and your patient's not going to know if they're being helped or not. So it just creates for a very chaotic clinical experience. So everything I teach you is based off of a solid therapeutic order, but also too, we really want people to reclaim their ancestral knowledge. For me, this was very much about reclaiming, and integrating what I had already been raised with, along with what I was learning in like a formal school. And I really want people to not just, go. I know we all kind of meet this work from so many different perspectives. I really wanted to make an impact and I wanted to help people heal, but we have to make sure we have balance and we're not doing it to our own demise and our own detriment. And so we want to build a holistic health business that has you in mind. That was something in the beginning I did not do. And so I definitely want to make sure that everyone starts with themselves first. And then lastly, it's really about making sure that people are adequately trained. So then there's more access in various communities all over the country. I'm sure you can imagine I get asked all the time, hey, Angela, I get asked all the time, hey, Anastasia, good to see you. All the time, oh, do you have a practitioner here? Do you have a practitioner in there? And the practice of holistic medicine is very complex. And maybe somebody will have one piece of it over here, or one piece of it over here, or one piece of it over here. But I have not really seen people that have the whole thing. And again, this is based off of, my years of, take it for what you will, but a lot of years of understanding of how these things actually work. So the core of my school right now is, hold on one second, is we have our holistic health coaching certification. It is a year-long certification. There are prereqs involved, which we're in right now. You will have to, learn a level of cultural intelligence. Just because of the systemic influences that are still present within our healthcare systems. Definitely self-mastery is vital, because if you don't know yourself and you are trying to help other people, it is going to be a transference mess. And so we really want to make sure that you have healthy boundaries with yourself and you're doing the work, because if you're not doing the work, then what is the point of teaching people? Like, you have to be able to actually practice what you're teaching people. That was something that was really important to me. And you understand strong holistic case taking, and you have strong case taking skills that are not only ethical, but keep you and the patient safe, because that's, we don't want to create more trauma. That's not what we're assigned to set off to do. And so understanding a proper case taking and understanding all the nuances that happen in cases. Oh my gosh. So, which we will get into. And what really helps us out and keeps us, in line is that therapeutic order. When we start to follow that therapeutic order, it really allows us that stability, and it gives us something to come back to always. So if you're interested in the holistic health coaching certification, again, it's a year-long commitment, and you have to have done the 2 prerequisites. So Intro to Holistic Medicine 1 and Intro to Holistic Medicine 2, which we're in right now. Hey, Miss Ambitious. And so once you complete those, then you'll have access to apply to the 12-month certification. This is very much, it's a very complex process. I have looked at various other like health coaching programs on the market. There's one that's even like, I think, like a month or something. Like, it's wild. I really prepare you for anything in terms of what you're going to see in practice. More and more and more and more and more, the complexity of cases that come in is going to be greater because of the harm that's being created in the conventional medical model. So understanding a scientific process and a scientific order and a therapeutic order is going to, again, it's going to help you to establish a baseline, get to a root cause faster, be able to educate, coach, and hold that person accountable so that they're actually able to transform and get results. Hey, pro bono, get results. And that's really what it's about. It's getting results for the patients, right? And I like to kind of be as efficient as possible with this result. I know we're dealing with humans here, but I like to try to be as efficient as possible, get in, get out, because there's so many people. Chronic disease is driving our healthcare system, and it ain't RFK who's gonna help us. Like, please don't be disillusioned. Like, it may sound good on paper, but remember, we're in concepts of a plan. So instead of having concepts of a plan, I like to actually have plans. And so we execute effective treatment plans for our patients. And I teach you how to do that in that holistic health coaching certification. So let's say you are interested in this process. So you're going to choose 2 prerequisites. I'll talk about what the prerequisites are. Intro to Holistic Medicine 1 is one prerequisite. Hey, doc. And Intro to Holistic Medicine 2 is another. So if you think about it, Intro to Holistic Medicine 1 talks all about nutrient deficiencies. And remember, we break it down into subjective and objective. Subjective is what the patient actually tells us. Objective is what we can prove outside of me, outside of you. So we do at-home labs. Subjective, we use a questionnaire, your nutritional assessment questionnaire. And then objectively, we use salivary pH levels, which need to be 6.8 typically. And then we use heart rate and heart rate variability, which lets us know stress and stress response, and begins teaching you kind of about biofeedback and applied psychophysiology, which gets into kind of the nervous system and how the nervous system functions and how the hormonal system functions, and stress responses and allergies and all kinds of things. So you just don't know that yet, right? So, it really breaks it down into kind of the most simplest of forms. So the 2 prerequisites, which we'll go over, and then it's a 12-month commitment from there. And then there's modules that you'll complete where you're really working these foundations. You'll work closely with me in terms of making sure that you hit your goals and you hit your parameters, but it is largely self-paced, but there's definitely more structure to it, just in terms of the check-ins and things like that. At the end, you will qualify for a certificate program. There are at least 3 accreditation bodies that I am going to be applying for. They're more on the international stage, if you will. There are some that will naturally, they all transfer in the United States, but they are international accrediting bodies that I'm choosing to go with that are a little bit stronger, I think, when we're looking at accreditations and that sort of thing. With the kind of influx of the Department of Ed and not really knowing what's going on with the Department of Ed, it's kind of risky to try to put, hang any shingles up over there. So I figured going more of an international, which is still domestically recognized, I felt like was a safer bet. So I've got a little bit of time, but there's 3 organizations that I'm interested in. Okay, so the required prerequisite courses are Intro to Holistic Medicine 1, Intro to Holistic Medicine 2, which goes over detoxification. So detoxification is we look at all of your primary and secondary eliminatory organs. So we're looking at your liver, your kidneys, your large intestines, your lungs, your lymph, and your lungs and your lymph. That should cover it. And so we look at how they eliminate. We're looking at a detox questionnaire for that particular class as our subjective data. And then our objective data, we're going to be looking at more so at urinary pH, bowel transit time, and if I can stick it in there, we'll do some stomach acid tests as well. And so we get the subjective, which is what the patient tells us through the questionnaires, and then objective with very simple at-home lab testing that you can instruct your patient to do themselves and educate them about what needs to be done. So that's that. You can also choose a couple other prerequisites that I'm working on right now. One is the holistic health sciences. This is the foundation of holistic health pyramid. So in development of these structures, I kind of came up with a pyramid, kind of similar to Maslow's, if you will, hierarchy of needs, but something that really breaks down holistic medicine in a very organized way. And so I may teach like a beginner basic class of that coming up, so you guys can kind of get a feel of that. Also, I teach a new patient orientation collective. So this course, I feel like, is very good if you are really nervous about being in front of patients and what you need to say to them and how you need to create a case and all of that. If you don't have any previous experience in that, that may be a good class. Hey, Tauticus, is just because it goes over all of kind of the nuance of new patient orientation. And then there's an Intro to Holistic Medicine, a beginner's guide. This is more for you to orate, meaning, hey, Empress, meaning you to be able to articulate and speak about holistic medicine or natural medicine or integrative medicine or functional medicine or any of those things out in a more public setting. So that's to kind of help develop your communication around what we do, which are all really important things. So you do 1 out of 2 of those courses. I'll teach intro courses to each one of those just so you, over the next few weeks, just so you guys can see. And so once you've completed those prerequisites, then you can be eligible for the 12 module holistic health coaching program. The reason I do it that way is just so to prepare you, so that it's not so much information. You get the science aspect of it kind of out of the way, and then the rest of it, you're really just more so skill building from there. Thank you for the roses. All right, cool. So again, kind of as we reiterated, the foundational courses that we talked about that are available. Thank you. Our new patient collective, so onboarding, expectations, community tools, app walkthrough, guided journaling, how to create care tiers, like taking the patient from beginning to end. And then your intro to holistic medicine, which we just finished, which is still available. It's the second link down. And that one, we start in the history and then terrain theory versus germ theory. Thank you for the necklace. Lifestyle medicine, therapeutic order, etc. And then we're going to go into intro 2, which is going to go into all detoxification and elimination. And then we have those other courses that I'll be doing an intro course for, the foundations course, which really gets more into the theoretical framework and the scientific aspect of it and how we incorporate energetic, bioenergetic integration. I go more into like which modalities apply for which areas of the body. So look out for that intro class. And then the one to be able to kind of talk about generally, right, speaking about nutrition, detoxification, mindset shifts, health myths, and then being able to do kind of a health assessment as well. That's more geared if you want to take this more into like a corporate setting, and you want to, speak to more larger audiences rather than the one-on-one. So one-on-ones, obviously have a different vibe to it because you're working with somebody one-on-one, and then working with groups is very different. So that's kind of why I geared it towards that. Okay, so those are the 12 weeks. You don't have to do a 12-week course. 12 weeks are a lot of work. It's a big commitment just because of the way that I structured. It's pretty fast-paced. So as a response, I also have 4-week collectives. Now, as a part of your holistic health coaching certification, if you want to get like a specialization in something, you can do it through a collective as well, like if you do 3 collectives. And so what a collective is, it's a 4-week, really focused. We kind of are working at week to week what one concept is. So let's say you do a collective on meditation as an example, right? Maybe week 1, we're setting up, how to create a meditation space. Week 2, we're learning some basic meditations. Week 3, we're practicing. And then week 4, we're understanding how we apply that in clinical practice. So you see they're real kind of boom, boom, boom. I really like that format. Sometimes it can help, especially if I have a lot going on, because they're kind of lean and mean. And so I teach one class, 2 collectives a week. I haven't decided which ones I'm going to teach, but I'll go through it, the options for you, and we'll kind of get a list going on. But very focused and very actionable, and you'll get a certificate of completion. So this is also good if you already have like your, healthcare license of sorts, and you just want to kind of learn a little bit about holistic medicine and incorporate it into, your already established practice. Hello, Crypto Stock. So as I was mentioning, the collectives are really time efficient. You can also stack them. So you can get 3 to 5 certificates before pursuing a specialization if you want. It's a really good entry point for people. So if you're like, I just want to learn about, meditation, or I want to learn about breath work, or whatever the collective is, it's good that you don't have to make this big 12-week quick commitment where you show up. It's really good for curious beginners, people that are expanding practitioner-wise, and then naturally people that are really in it for the long term. So they're really kind of short, effective. I like teaching kind of those. You'll also get the video lessons. There's a daily practice usually and a prompt. You'll get a workbook for that particular collective, and then there'll be a certificate at the end of the 4 weeks. So real kind of short, easy, to the point, and sometimes, is a little bit more accessible for people. Okay. If you are going on to do the holistic health coaching, what I would recommend is going into Intro to Holistic Medicine 2, and then thinking about what specialization or focus track that you want to do. And so after you kind of complete, your Intro 2, you'll have, your collective specializations that you can start along with your normal coursework. And so kind of think about what area of health, as we'll go into it, you want to kind of focus on. And then naturally, if you already have certification, or you're just kind of looking for certification, just kind of picking up different things. I did that for a while, just, learning a little bit about this and learning a little bit about that, and really just exploring and not necessarily knowing where my destination was going to be. So definitely consider that. All right, so now we'll get into which collectives that I offer. So first is we look at mindset and emotional mastery. So for that, we're looking at a resilient mindset collective, which talks about developing mental resilience and positive thinking patterns and how you create that. Then there's a primitive mind mastery, which gets into evolutionary brain patterns, but also gets into nervous system regulation, fight or flight responses. Then there's a collective on subconscious mind reprogramming, where you learn techniques to be able to identify and transform your limiting beliefs at their source. There's a class, emotions as a tool, to understand greater how to use emotional intelligence as data for personal growth. And then there is more of an emotional intelligence and self-mastery class, where you can really develop more advanced emotional intelligence skills. So that's all under a mindset and emotional mastery collective. So let's say if you wanted to go into this as a specialization, you go, okay, I'm going to do resilient mind, I'm going to do subconscious mind, and emotions as a tool, as an example. And that's going to be, what my specialization will be. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let me know if it doesn't. Then we look at our metabolic and functional health classes. Naturally, most of what we're doing is in the metabolic and functional health space. So 4-week collectives here, remember, we're doing metabolic pH reset, so how to balance your body's chemistry, autoimmune healing and inflammation, so addressing immune system dysregulations, hormonal balances, which is natural approaches to hormonal health, gut health and digestive healing, which looks at digestion, assimilation, and microbalance, detox and metabolic reset, which looks at cleansing your system and restoring your metabolic pathways, metabolic health and weight mastery, which is sustainable approaches to weight and metabolism. Holistic nutrition, which is using food as medicine and creating nutritional wisdom. And then the last one under this category is functional nutrition for families. If you think that you're going to be working with, people of all ages, so babies, children, elderly, etc., not just adults. So we go into different nutrient requirements for ages. So that's our metabolic and functional health. All right. Now for nervous system and lifestyle collectives, I only have two. So holistic nervous system reset. So how to reset the nervous system, mostly because some of the other classes have a lot of other nervous system related stuff. So it's kind of overkill to do it in a whole nother course, but we'll all see what areas are like still missing after we go through them. Sleep and circadian rhythm. And so kind of how to restore that with people. Then we look into lifestyle and conscious living. So holistic parenting collective. I was in family practice for 15 years. I've learned so much about parenting. And so the sustainable and conscious living collective. So that gets into like a toxic-free home and how to build toxic-free homes and do all of that from the ground up. Conscious money and abundance collective. So this looks at manifestation, your money patterns, your money thoughts, your money mindset, all that sort of stuff. And then feng shui and a holistic home. So that's how to really tap into TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, to be able to create energy frequencies within your home. And, we'll get into more of the classical side of it. We'll do kind of an abbreviated version because it's a lot to it. So, but definitely when you're intentionally living, that feng shui is like, whoa, it takes it to a whole nother level. Then we have spiritual and ancestral healing classes. So shadow work and ancestral healing as a collective. Family constellation and ancestral healing. So this looks at systemic mapping and guided constellations. And when I say constellations, it's like a therapeutic practice. When we're looking at shadow work and ancestral healing, I should go back. We look at those inner shadows and begin to release patterns of intergenerational trauma. So it's kind of an intense class because we're looking at intergenerational trauma and how that impacts you. And then we have two other classes under this category, spiritual health and connection, where you're really developing more daily practices to learn to integrate spiritual values into your everyday life. And then pure Black Afro-Indigenous wellness. This is more reclaiming traditional African medicine practices and exploring the history of Black health traditions. So that class is under spiritual and ancestral healing. So just so you're aware. Any of these collectives, hey, Bubba, any of these collectives, again, they're entry points, so you don't need any prerequisites to take any of these classes. They are, 4 weeks long. It'll give you experience and teaching before committing to any kind of certification. And so they're 4 weeks, real kind of deep dive looking at a topic. When you fill out the pre-registration form on the link in my bio, so there's a link in my bio. It's like the first link underneath the discovery call. And so under there, there's a form and you can put what courses that you're interested in. And then that way I can see who's interested in what, and that will give me an idea over the next week or so what I'll kind of put on the schedule in terms of being able to teach. By the end of the year, all of those classes are going to be taught. So it's not like, if you don't get it, then it's, not going to be there. But that is what I have structured to get all those classes taught by the end of our said year. All right. So again, the collectives are really good for people that are, really just kind of trying to learn a little bit. They're not, trying to get super deep into a topic, but they definitely can learn. New students who are exploring holistic health, coaches that want to specialize, practitioners that are wanting, some CEU style refreshers. They're 4 weeks long. I have 24 plus topics, and they're all 100% taught online. And you'll have access to the updates and all of that. Hey, Maganaga, haven't seen you in a while. So really great for people that are just looking to kind of dip their toe in. You can do one, you can do many. And then if you really want to take it a step further, we have our holistic health coaching certification after you've completed, hey, Dr. Michelle, after you've completed your prerequisite. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the holistic health certification. So it's 12 modules in terms of, more advanced ethics. We get into client intake. We get into a little bit of deeper subjective, objective analysis. We get into lifestyle planning in that particular course as well, and we break it down so you develop a treatment plan. There are already previous all of the content's already in there because I've already taught it before. But I'm going to go through and still kind of be with you the entire time and hold your hand through it. And so we typically will start off with like a conversation. We'll do like a Zoom just to really understand where your focus is and what it is you're trying to accomplish, because we want to make sure that it's tailored to you. It's not just a general spread, because I don't want to, why focus on something, if you want to focus on women's health and, you don't want to focus on detox, then it makes no sense to be, spending all that time in that. So really making sure that, you're getting the most out of it. You may not need to spend as much time on one area as another area. So we kind of specialize it for you. And just so you can get the kind of hang of subjective and objective assessment, that's like the biggest thing. Naturally, in the course itself, I was speaking to a gal just yesterday who she has a PhD already, but doesn't have that clinical coaching skill part. And so she didn't realize even she had some of this, just not putting it together in this way. So in the health coaching program, we will go into your health coaching skills and practice building. You will also shadow me in a couple sessions as well, so you kind of get an idea of what it looks like in real life. And so we use motivational interviewing techniques. We use rapport building. We go into all different aspects of rapport building. We get into boundary setting for yourself as well as your client. We look in offer creation right up front. So we kind of get your demographic, the patients you want to help. And so we start to create an offer for them, and then really create your structured coaching framework from the beginning. So it's designed to really kind of hit the ground running. So within the first 6 months, you can have your business up and going and already taking clients. So if you really focus and do it the way that it's actually designed to do it. Another class that I offer, it can be a part of the certification if you want it to be, but it's also a collective, is Holistic Health Data Mastery. So going over lab testing and what they look like and what numbers mean what and what to focus on, et cetera. That is a collective that I teach. So we teach it kind of from a broad brush. We don't get super, super deep into it, but it begins that understanding so you understand what a CBC is, what a CMP is, what a lipid panel is, what a homocysteine panel is, to begin that process of understanding. There's a whole depth to laboratory diagnostics and functional medicine, and we'll get into that later, but this is really just more of a prerequisite class to functional medicine as you begin to understand what your patient's lab work actually means, or even what your own lab work means, or what to ask for. And then, and these are some of the more scientific kind of the coaching style classes that I offer. This one's remote patient monitoring. So we're looking more at our heart rate variability. We're looking at weight management. We're looking at hydration monitoring, and we look at digital tools and how we leverage digital tools to be able to monitor our patients. So I can set with my health tech company, I can set up a triage anywhere in the world as long as they have an internet connection and they can get on Wi-Fi. And so being able to kind of teach you that process and teach you how to look at that data just in case. You never know when a good triage comes in handy. So not to be dramatic, but it's important for you to understand your vitals, understand how to take your vitals, how to properly take other people's vitals, and be able to understand what those vitals mean and what can be done to monitor those vitals and or to improve those vitals or keep them stable until something else occurs. So very simple tools of tracking this information, and I'll teach you both ways. I'll teach you kind of I teach you the paper aspects, and then we also look at the digital aspects of it as well, as we kind of look at how the body functions and how to track everything in the body. I love remote patient monitoring. I think it's fun. So, but that's just me. Okay, so next one is how to build a holistic business. So one of the degrees I have is an MBA. So a master's in business, and I really focused mostly, obviously, the healthcare system, but definitely marketing is my jam. And so we'll talk about branding, lead generation, pricing strategies, client systems, automation as well. There's a lot of really amazing tools, and I kind of give you the cutting edge tools and how to do it efficiently. Again, efficiency is one of my core values, so I don't like to spend a lot of time or money doing anything. So I try to give it to you in the down and dirty sense. All right, our foundational wellness collectives, these are more your foundational health items. So Jumpstart to Healthy Eating, that's for teaching people how to eat healthy pretty much on the go. And so if they have no time and they have no resources, Jumpstart to Healthy Eating kind of is how we teach them how to do that. Holistic Heart Health, which is all about more of your metabolic health conditions. So like hypertension, diabetes, that kind of thing, keeping the heart healthy. 30 Days to Emotional Health. So this class is about learning emotional coping, emotional intelligence, and emotional tools to be able to teach our patients, because naturally patients are going to come in with all kinds of emotional responses, and we need to give them some tools to be able to work with that don't include calling you. Just kidding. So there's also Mastering Time. This is if you have poor time management. This is definitely a class of your foundational development as well. And so making sure that you have it structured so that you can execute on all the things that you need to execute on. And then how to have a holistic lifestyle is really teaching people, again, how to get out of their head and how to get out of the doing, because people want to put their health on a to-do list. It's really teaching them how to do this as a practice of a lifestyle. Also, too, at the very bottom, you can see there's like teeny tiny, is our metabolic and functional health. So metabolic pH, detox and metabolic reset, weight mastery, nutrition mastery, gut health, and then hormonal balance. So those are kind of obvious classes, for metabolic and functional health that we offer, because those are kind of, I would say, foundational classes for real. All right. And then I think we already talked about these. These are all, again, about around your mindset and your mental health. Some of the other classes I don't think we had touched on. So Resilient Mind is reframing and neuroplasticity tools. We talked about primitive mind. Subconscious mind reprogramming is your belief system. Conscious mind is more of your habits and habit forming. Logic, voice, reason, decision making, that's more discernment and impulse control versus rationality. And then we talked about emotions as a tool, which is more for emotional intelligence. We also talked already about the nervous system and sleep collective. So remember the nervous system, we get the nervous system in so many other classes, but this will teach more about vagal nerve and vagal nerve toning, stress pattern mapping, and sleep and nervous system connection. And then sleep and circadian rhythm will break sleep down into 3 parts and teach you how to correct the 3 parts of sleep. We also discussed the lifestyle and conscious living collectives as well, holistic parenting, sustainable and conscious living, conscious money and abundance. We looked at also too the spiritual and ancestral component, shadow work and ancestral healing. So we'll look at like Jungian work, we'll look at inner child work with that one, energetic clearings and family dynamics. We kind of start to get into that. And then we get more into family systems when we look at family constellation and ancestral healing. So we kind of begin to map out who's who and what's what. And then in that other class, we kind of expanded out. These are energetic classes that we teach. So it's kind of on the junction of psychology and spirituality, but very powerful classes. I cannot even stress that enough. That spiritual health and connection is really about building your daily practices. And Pure Black is about, hold on one second. Okay, cool. My apologies. And then Pure Black is about really more of African traditional healing medicines. All right. Oh, what happened? Let's see. All right. Where are we at? We're way down here. Okay, cool. All right. And so this is not necessarily a part of the classes, but I do have several podcasts. I just released a new episode this week from Decolonize Your Healthcare, and I sat down with Dana Ullman, who's an international homeopath, and just has a wealth of information about homeopathy. So definitely check that new episode out. Last week, I released a new episode of Confessions of a Holistic Doctor, The Magical Negro. So definitely check that out anywhere you guys listen to podcasts on, but especially on YouTube. And then I have 2 other podcasts. I haven't released anything on them. I really release things when I have inspiration. So right now I'm more inspired by the other 2. But Respect Black Women is centered around Black women's voices. And things that matter to Black women. And then Holistic Health Goddess, Tech Goddess, is probably my least loved, but I love it. But I just haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to produce it yet. So that one's all about health tech and health tech gadgets and all kinds of fun stuff. So anywhere where podcasts, where you listen to podcasts, they are on Apple, Spotify, all the things, and also too on YouTube as well. Thank you for the popular, right? All right, let's see. Here we go. And then also make sure that you are part of our free communities. We have 3 free communities that you get with any free access or paid course that we offer. We have our Holistic Lifestyle Hey Third Man community, where we talk about, individual healing, family healing. I'll throw some new resources in next week. We have a holistic health coaching cohort as well, which I'll be sending emails out to. And then we have Pure Black, our Afro-Indigenous Wellness Circle, where I can really start to share more information. Hey, Third Man. The 12-month certification, I have to look at the original, but it's around 4. It's around 4 in that area of the world. So I'll probably do discounts and stuff like that. So, but when I did run it, it was around 4,000 for the year. And so we broke it down, and my goal also was that people could start to earn. Well, that's why I did the prerequisites first. So you can have a foundation to actually start kind of working and, starting to get clients, because your first 1 or 2 modules is all about kind of building your client profile and who you want to work with, et cetera. So it's designed so you can generate your money back within the first 6 months. But again, you have to be focused, so if you're not focused, then, it's not going to work. If you get yourself kind of all tied up, then, it'll be a little hectic. So these communities are completely free. So in the link in my bio, if you scroll down to the third link, you can join the Holistic Lifestyle community, and then you can have access to join the other two if you are interested in the content of the other two. And so each community already has the Intro to Holistic Medicine 1 in there, and there's already discussions in there. There's some free resources in there. There's the companion app as well, which we'll talk about. So if you want, you can access our companion app. I don't have a slide that has that on there, but our Holistic Life app. So it's kind of difficult to show you kind of this ecosystem, but you come in either into a free community or to one of our courses, and you can either stay in that, and or some of our courses actually use the companion app with the courses, so you kind of get comfortable with the tracking. But the app is, again, it's designed where you can have your own, all of your own health data being stored. Everything that I have is mine. So nobody else, has access to any of my things. I'm not beholden to anybody. I'm not under any kind of corporate, etc. So I really built all of my systems like that. Like even my communities are all built off of my own domains. They're not built off of Facebook or any of those other domains. They're also all HIPAA compliant as well, and the highest standards of digital commerce, etc. We have lots of different things we have to jump through, hurdles we have to jump through. Hey, mama, to make sure that everybody's information is protected. So the only way that I release information is if I am subpoenaed to. Otherwise, everything is completely protected. Yes, that was something that was so important to me. Oh my gosh, and we went through. I went through so many iterations to try to make sure that, being sovereign is so important to me, and having sovereignty over our bodies, having sovereignty over our healthcare, having sovereignty over our information, just having sovereignty, thank you, has been so important to me. And so, naturally, because it's important to me, I assume it's important to more people. So that's why, oh, thank you so much. So that's why I kind of, was really intentional. It took a long time. It took me having to learn more about developing than I ever thought I would. No. But I definitely, have learned a lot, which, is why. So I'm working right now on finishing up editing the course catalog. So you'll actually have like a paper catalog that you can print out and read through and check things off and circle things and like all of that. Sometimes I need something like in my hand to kind of get my brain wrapped around it. And then I'll put in the catalog, I'll put like fee schedule and all that kind of stuff so that you have that. And then really developing like under, hey, Mad King, the interest, like which collectives that, are people are most interested in up front, because then that way I can start teaching those classes. Because I have slots to teach about 2 other classes in addition to Intro to Holistic Medicine 2, because Intro Medicine 2 is kind of, it's 2 days a week, and then I got to do all the prep stuff. So I only have time to really teach 2 other classes through the week while I'm balancing my patients still. So I want to kind of know which 2 people are interested in. So we'll figure that out. If you go to the link in my bio, the first link, it's a form. You can go in there and fill out which collectives you're interested in, and it will tally them for me so that I can kind of know and get feedback. So that is that. All right. So I think we're good for today. I just wanted to jump on and kind of walk you guys through what I had been going over. So remember, we have various different collectives that are 4-week classes, and then we're on our break for Intro to Holistic Medicine 2. Let me look at the calendar really quick and see. Yeah, so we have 1 more week of break. And so our Intro to Holistic Medicine 2 starts the week of the 25th. So the first class would be on the 28th of May. So the 28th of this month. So next week I'll send out emails to everybody so you guys can, make a decision of how you want to do that. I'll also teach some intro classes next week for those other 2 foundational classes in case somebody wants to learn that. And then we'll kind of get a tally. I probably won't start a collective until June, just so I can get those other classes kind of under my belt. So that'll be good. All right. Do you guys have any questions for me? Let me go over here to IG. How you guys doing on IG? Doing well. Hello. All right, cool. All right. Any questions on the YouTube? Everybody's good on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Any questions over here on the TikTok? All right, guys, I'm going to jump off and try to relax, grab some lunch, enjoy myself. Bye, IG. All right. Bye, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. See ya.